Awakened Soul. So I'm sharing something in this video that was inspired by a client conversation. So many times in our awakening journey, when we talk about fear, it's generally talked about from the perspective that I'm an eternal being, I'm a spirit in human form, I shouldn't fear anything, right? And we kind of dismiss fear sometimes, which is totally fine. That's one way to go, right? But oftentimes we just, myself included, I'll be like, ain't nothing to fear. I'm source. I am God in human form. I have nothing to fear, which is true. And you certainly can take that path if it resonates more for you than what I'm going to share here today. But the reason that I'm sharing this is that there's more than one way to have the experience of fear. And when we realize that fear is actually a messenger, and I'll couple doubt into that as well, doubt and fear is a messenger. And typically it's 6 messages. No matter what the fear is, no matter what circumstances that's triggering the fear, no matter what it is that you're fearing, from my own experience, it's the message that fear brings is pretty much the same every single time, even though the circumstances may shift, the players may shift, right? Different people, different circumstances, different experiences that you're having, different life events. But whenever fear emerges, it's a messenger. And if we could only see that fear is a messenger, then we don't end up trying to resist fear or running away from fear or fearing the very existence of fear itself, if you know what I mean. So what I'm going to share in this video are the 6 messages that fear is bringing to us whenever it is arising. So if you ever run into fear in your experience in this human lifetime, come back to this video. If it resonates, of course, because I always say take what resonates and discard what does not. But if it resonates, bookmark this video. Come back to it when fear or doubt arises around a particular thing, and kind of go through the 6 messages that fear is bringing and kind of evaluate where you are in terms of the possible messages that fear is bringing to you. So let's start with the first message. The first message is something that I had shared in a previous video on my old YouTube channel, but I'll reiterate it here, because when we know this, not just believe this, not just intellectually know it, but when we know this, fear has a different feel to it. So the message is, hello, you are now out of alignment with the perspective of Source. You're out of alignment with the perspective of your inner being, your higher self. You're just temporarily out of alignment. Nothing wrong with that, but just to have the awareness that in order for this fear to arise, in order for this doubt to arise, I may be out of alignment with the perspective of Source, and typically we truly are. Message number 2, misalignment, out of alignment with the perspective of Source, typically means when the presence of fear is there, when the presence of doubt is there, it typically means that we actually have a belief. Really get this, guys. We have a belief in a reality that we do not prefer. In order for fear to arise, or doubt, but we're focusing mainly on fear here. In order for fear to arise, we have to choose to believe in a reality we do not prefer. Because the only way that we can fear the existence of something, or the oncoming of something, or something in the past, present, future, whatever, whenever that fear is arising, we're actually believing in a reality that we do not prefer. And in the believing of that reality that we do not prefer, we're focused on the reality we do not prefer, and thereby we create the reality we do not prefer. So that's the second message that fear is bringing. Second message is fear knocking on your door going, you are now believing in a reality that you do not prefer. Do you wish to continue along this path or not? It's a message that fear is bringing you. And the third message, if you know that you're actually believing in a reality that you do not prefer, then perhaps a really cool next step would be message number 3. Exploring, would you like to explore that belief that is arising in the reality that you do not prefer? To explore the belief, to examine where is this belief coming from? And the beautiful question that I typically share with my clients is the question, in order to feel this fear, what must I believe is true? And you write that down. In order for me to feel this fear, what must I believe is true? And once you get that and you capture it, you now become aware of the belief that is believing in a reality you do not prefer. You now become aware of what that belief is, and you can begin to examine it. Sometimes you examine it and you realize there's layers to it, right? Sometimes you examine it and you realize, wait, this is not my belief. This is my mother's belief, or my parents' belief, or my family is believing this and causing me to go into fear, or this is a societal conditioned belief, you know? And once you examine the source of the belief, you now give fear the opportunity to serve its purpose, which is greater awareness, greater expansion. Fear has a purpose. Fear has its messages in order to serve its purpose. And the interesting thing about fear in terms of serving its purpose, what I notice sometimes is that when we don't realize that fear is bringing us a message and we're kind of standing in resistance to fear or running away from it, or, oh, I'm not supposed to be afraid, or whatever, we don't realize that fear is bringing us a message. And when we receive that message, greater awareness happens, greater expansion happens, and then fear has served its purpose. And then fear naturally dissipates when fear has served its purpose, which is greater expansion, greater awareness. So back to message number 3, exploring, where did this belief come from? What is this belief? In order to feel this fear, what must I believe is true? And then you begin to examine, is this really true? Or did I pick up this belief system from someone else? Society, parents, family, friends, you know, Facebook, social media, right? A lot of different places where we could pick up the beliefs in the realities we do not prefer. And it's entirely up to us if we want to continue holding on to those beliefs or if we're choosing to release them. The fourth message that fear might be bringing is, dear beloved one, you might actually be believing that you have no control over your experiences when you are indeed the only one that has control over your experiences. Not that we need to have control per se, but we are the vibrational writers of the script of our lives. We are the vibrational writers of the script of our lives. Everyone else in the universe is playing the roles that we have given them through our vibrational offering. So when we believe we don't have control over what is about to happen, it's kind of comical because the only person that can create what's about to happen is us. So what begins to become clear is, wait, if I'm the only person creating my reality and I'm having a belief in something that I don't prefer, why don't I choose to believe in something that I do prefer instead? Why? Because I have 100% vibrational control over everything that's occurring in my experience. I have the ability to course correct vibrationally, course correct in my belief system. You have the ability to do so, we all do. So that's the fourth message. might you be believing that you have no control, no vibrational control over the experiences that you're having? Because all of us have 100% vibrational control over everything that's occurring in our experience. There are very few exceptions to, because sometimes people go, well, you don't have free will. I happen to believe that we have free will. If you don't believe we have free will, stop this video right now, find somebody else's video. I happen to believe that we have free will. Now, there are certain circumstances that were predestined, I would say. But those are so few. From the conversations that I've been having with my own divine team, the clarity for me is that those experiences are so few and far between. And even when those occur, you always get to choose how you experience the arising of that life event. So first of all, they're few and far between. Second of all, you still have vibrational control over how you move through that experience, if indeed it was a predestined kind of agreement that your soul wanted to play out. I am never in fear of anything that my soul wanted to play out, because if my soul chose any kind of experience, the thought comes to my mind is, if my soul chose it, my soul knew that I would be able to navigate it just fine. So let's get along with navigating it just fine, you know? So I just wanted to add that with regard to that fourth message. The fifth message that fear brings is, dear beloved one, might you be believing that you are a limited human being rather than a limitless eternal divine being? And this again goes back to mental knowing versus that inner knowing, because everyone walks around going, I'm spirit in human form. We're all spirit in human form. We're spirit in human form, but a lot of people don't act like they are eternal beings. A lot of people don't act, and myself included at times, doesn't act like we are limitless human beings. I remember one time I was sitting on my deck and my divine team, having a conversation with my divine team over something I was distraught about. I can't even remember what it is right now. But I do remember what they said to me. Is, Allison, you're going to look back and laugh at how limitless you thought you were, when all the while you had the power that creates worlds flowing through you and to you 24/7. You will look back and laugh at how limited you thought you were. And all of us will look back and laugh at how limited we thought we were in different life circumstances. Look at whatever circumstance that might not be going the way you want it to go in your human experience right now. Once you're done with this human life, you will look back and laugh that you were so worried about this when you were an eternal being, that you were so terrified that this might happen when you're the one that has the power to create your own reality. We will look back and laugh how limited we thought we were, when all the while we had the power to create worlds flowing to us and through us 24/7. All the while we knew, our souls knew, that this experience is completely temporary and that we are eternal, limitless beings. When we begin to identify with our limitless state of being, you start to feel kind of invincible about things, right? It's not that your physical body cannot be harmed and you can't run out of money, or it's not that any of those things couldn't happen, but you think about those things and you're like, even if that happened, I'll be fine. It's like, what's the worst that could happen when I'm an eternal being? And you start to identify more with your limitless state of being and less with your limited, very temporary human state of being. So hopefully that's helpful to those of you who might have forgotten that you are a limitless eternal being. And the very last message that fear brings us is that natural animal human instinct that says danger is ahead, right? Unfortunately, we kind of activate that animal human instinct with the silliest of things, right? And it's not warranted, you know. Certainly we have that animal human instinct that says danger is ahead, you know, if you're walking down the street and a car is coming, or you're in the woods and a snake is coming, you know, your human animal gut instinct might say run, fear, that fear instinct might come up. But those of us who are living in the civilized world hardly ever have these circumstances coming up. Yes, terrible things do happen in our world, so I'm not going to downplay that at all. All I'm saying is, for most of you who are listening to this, that's the least of your worries. And most of the stuff that you're fearing is more of the other 5 messages that I have shared with you today. So hopefully something that I have shared in this message heightens your awareness, expands your consciousness in some way. When fear arises in your experience, it's just a messenger. It is just a messenger. I went to a silent retreat years ago, Vipassana silent retreat years ago. And I fully enjoyed it. It doesn't resonate for me today, but I fully enjoyed it. But one of the things that I watched in that silent retreat was a video with the leader that was sharing this analogy of a painter painting a very scary painting with his own brush, his own paint, and then running around the room telling everybody that he's petrified of this painting. And everybody's looking at him going, but you painted it. And that story stuck with me, because everything that we're fearing about the future is ours to create. So we're taking the brush and we're painting what's going to happen next vibrationally, and then we're scared of what we're painting. Or we don't realize that we're the one with the brush in hand and we can paint a scary outcome, or we can paint vibrationally a desired outcome. Going back to the second point, which is a belief in a reality that you do not prefer. Why not choose a reality that you do prefer, and begin to paint that instead? So I hope this was helpful to some of you. I shared this with many of my clients, and it has been really helpful to them. So I thought I'd do a video today to share the messages, the 6 messages that fear brings, 5 of which probably applies to most of your life, and 1 which might happen every once in a while, but pretty rare for most of us. That's it for this video, everyone. Hopefully that was helpful in some way, and I will see you in whatever is next. And actually, at the time of recording this, what is next is our Awakened meetup that I'm looking forward to, and more of you are signing up. I'm looking forward to that. And at the time of recording this, I'm going to send a message out to those of you who have signed up for the meetup, because I have one question for you, one question, which I'm going to ask before our very first. I'm so excited about that every time I think about it. Our very first face-to-face online international meetup. I'll see you guys for that, and I'll see the rest of you for whatever is going to happen next. And the meetup, by the way, is AllisonPhillips.tv/meetup if you're interested in that. We're just going to meet up and hang out, chill out, and have a good time. And if that resonates for you, go to AllisonPhillips.tv/meetup for more. By the way, the other thing, people have been saying to me, Allison, when you start your videos, you don't even say who you are. A couple of people have said that to me. It's like, dude, if you really want to know who I am, go to AllisonPhillips.tv/about. There's a 14-minute audio, my whole life described in 14 minutes in an audio at the time of recording this at AllisonPhillips.tv/about. If you are new here, welcome, and you can go there to find out more about me, and feel free to join our free meetups that are happening that I'm really looking forward to. And I'll see you guys in whatever I appear in next. Bye for now.